our Oilers podcast. Instead, we are now called the Oil Drop Podcast. Same faces, just a new name to the podcast is all. I guess starting it off, we're still the same people. My name is Arun, otherwise known as Arunatic5 on Reddit. Adam?
I'm Adam, otherwise known as Street44722.
And I'm James Paul McCartney.
So,
Alright.
Fun fact, we get notifications when we're live. I just got notifications for our podcast that we're live, so that's kind of cool. I used to get those.
Sweet.
It's worth noting. I'm gonna plug a little bit before we get started here. We have a SoundCloud now. Only has our two most recent podcasts, but it's up. There's a description. There's a link in the Reddit thread, and I'm gonna post one in the description after we're done this. And I also did an interview with a Paralympian this past Tuesday, so I'm gonna try to edit that and post it soon. I'm not gonna post it on Reddit because that blog spam, whatever, but it will be on our channel within the next week or so. Omid was really good about it. It was a good interview. I'd recommend you watch it later. And we do talk a little bit about the Oilers at some point. So, moving on to actual hockey, starting with the World Cup of Hockey, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Has anything? So we're through the pre-tournament and the first day of competition. What are you guys' impressions of the tournament thus far? Starting with Arun.
Team USA's fucked. It's my first impression right now. Tell you what. Also, Team Europe, the greatest thing that could have happened to them was losing that game, like that really bad game against North America, because they are back with a vengeance, and I'm going to enjoy that team play. And they were supposed to be, they have how do you pronounce it? Truculence, or?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Truculence. Yeah.
How do you pronounce it? I'm bad at pronouncing words.
No, it's truculence.
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so truculence, and that's how the emphasis on how Team USA is built, whereas Team Europe actually has it, and that's the difference. Adam?
I was gonna say, as good as Team North America is, they definitely have some issues with transitioning right now, especially on defensive end. They've had some issues staying with their marks, but Team Europe, I think, is better than I thought they would be, and Team USA is worse than I thought they would be, which I anticipated them sucking. So it's a little weird, I think, so far. Team Canada actually surprised me because I thought they probably could have taken a couple more players, but they played a smoother game and they beat Czech Republic 6-0 yesterday.
Jesus, I didn't actually see that game.
Yeah, they ran them the fuck over. Crosby was amazing.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Crosby was unstoppable. And
James?
holy smokes, man. There was at that game that I thought the Republic was really even in the total. It's pretty. It was I wasn't even really watching the game while it was on because it was so one-sided. So the American team, they're designed solely to beat Canada, so they had better do that. Otherwise, they're gonna be done pretty quick. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still pretty skeptical on the tournament overall, but it's hockey and it's September, so yeah.
Okay, guys. So just really quickly, my internet is not doing well right now, so I'm just gonna switch over and we're gonna have Adam host, and we'll see you guys back in a minute. Okay? BRB.
We should be live already.
Yep. All right, guys. We should be live again. And we are live again. Welcome back again. Hopefully this did not split up into two videos. But continuing on, with opening day warm-ups, opening day reactions, and that kind of stuff, Adam, I'm interested to hear what if you had any kind of things to add with what your thoughts, I guess in general, whether or not North America is sizing up or to what we thought it would be after our initial game reaction.
I think, like I said before, I think they're still a very fast, very good team, but I think there are emerging issues where you can kind of see the lack of veteran presence really does make a difference. Transitional game, they're very, very good on the rush, but going back the other way, sometimes you can see where players aren't used to picking up people on the fly, so they're missing their marks, or There's simple turnovers. Ryan Murray had a couple bad turnovers in that Europe. They get lost against Team Europe. But you've also seen players like Larkin play really well, and Matthews came out and has moved all the way up to the first line, and RNH has looked really good, and McDavid's been good, but hasn't been producing points and that kind of thing. So it's I think Team North America still has a chance, but they do have to up their game a little bit in the next little while.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll need to round out their game for sure. Speaking to what Adam said there, the apparent, I don't want to say lack of leadership, but that's really like lack of experience, I guess, is the important thing there. And I thought that was showing a little bit in their last preliminary game, which I believe was against the Czech Republic. And the Czechs beat them, and Canada just steamrolled the Czech Republic, so is it a rock, paper, scissors sort of thing where Team North America would beat Canada? I doubt it.
I don't think so. From that Czech Republic game, just because I look at that, and then I look at how the other games went. Was it the USA one versus Canada one, the back-to-back that played? The first game, people were like, "Oh, this USA team is actually designed to beat Canada," and then the second game, it's like, "Oh, they're actually quite shit." And this was a one-off. So that Czech Republic game, I think, is just a one-off for Team North America.
Yeah,
especially when they put up 45 shots on net.
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, it was a crazy amount. So.
They weren't a whole lot of quality shots. Like it was kind of like the Oilers last year, where Corsi improved, but at the same time, all the shots were kind of from outside angles or just thrown towards the net and happened to be on goal. There were some very good chances, but there were a lot of the shots were just thrown on net. Something I will say, did not expect.
But that's sort of Todd McClellan's style, though.
That is true. Yeah, I didn't expect Matt Murray to be as good as he has been. Like I expected him to be good. He won a cup and everything, but he's been a lot better than I expected him to be. And
in a similar vein, Seth Jones is turning out to be worse than I expected him to be. Not by much.
Yeah?
Just a little bit worse. He's causing a lot of unforced errors.
He's been underwhelming thus far, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can agree with that, actually. I kind of forgot he was on the team for a while.
Yeah. Exactly.
When I think
on that point, Riley, I'm quite impressed with Riley as well.
Riley's looked really good.
Riley?
Yeah.
For the first time.
He still needs to work on certain parts of his game, but definitely, like, the Maple Leafs have a very good defender in Morgan Riley.
For the first time in a long time, a player's living up to the height that Leafs fans have talked about him for the last couple months. And years, really. Like
Matthews?
saying that. No, the Riley, well, I mean him too, but Riley, as in, he's a good player, and he's going to be a valuable asset to Leafs moving forward, and he deserves to get paid and all this stuff. And a lot of times you hear that, and it's like, not really. I mean, yeah, they're good, but no, Riley's actually proven to be a step above and beyond what I expected. Really. What about Jacob Trouba? What do you guys think of Trouba's played so far? He's only played the one game, I think, right?
Nothing. Yeah, I was gonna say like nothing stands out in my mind with him because I don't think he dressed for one game.
He didn't play the first European game.
And I watched all of Team North America's games, and Trouba honestly doesn't stand out at all. So
Trouba had a few moments.
I can't think of anything that he did good or bad. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
That said, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Perico. He's been good. Perico?
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
Fuck.
Perico? I don't know how to say his name.
Perico.
I'll be right back 1 second here, okay?
Perico, okay.
I think it's Perico.
Right, yeah, Adam?
I was going to say, he's been really good. Like, he uses his size really well. He uses his reach really well. He's quite quick on transition. I'm really impressed with him.
All right. Okay, continuing on in terms of... Or did you want me to point out any other players?
The only other one I would think of would be maybe... what are your impressions of Austin Matthews as of late?
I think the reason that he's playing the way he is right now has a lot to do with the fact that the defenders in the NHL don't have the book on them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
Right?
yeah.
Like,
Who are we talking
defenders in
about?
the
Matthews.
NHL now know how to deal with Eichel, at least to some level. So Eichel has a hard time getting in because his style is so awkward and so unaccustomed that it takes time to get used to it. With Matthews, yes, he brings a lot of skill, but I still think like players like Eichel and McDavid have that level of skill. Obviously, McDavid with more, but it's just that on one side you have the set of was it um, players that know how these two play versus you have players that have never played against Matthews outside of the NHL World Cup or the IIHF World Cup. I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In terms of, I guess we're going from team to team almost, right?
Well, I would say
Why don't
before-
we look at Team Europe? What do you guys, your standout players, your negative players for Team Europe?
My negative players would be pretty much the entire defense. Chara and
It's just a lot.
Straight. Yeah, Chara, Straight in particular. Yossi's been pretty good. Spiza, he got burned quite a few times. So, I don't know. Their blue line is definitely an issue. I think their goaltending is an issue because they have, Halak and Grice?
Yep, Halak played pretty well the other day, though.
I can't even remember, honestly.
That's Grice.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Grice just basically got demolished off the face of the planet thanks to that other game against Team North America.
mm-hmm.
For Team Europe, for me, and then I'll go to you, Adam. My positive player has been... At first, he was my negative player. I'll be honest with you. I was a little concerned with Draisaitl. I didn't think he was contributing enough. He was being smothered off the puck. You know, that whole shebang that I always bring up with Draisaitl. But then he just came out, and he's like, not today. And not only did he like get that hat trick in the pre-tournament game against Sweden, in the actual game itself, he also had a spectacularly positive game. In terms of the negative, again, very similar to yours, James, Chara really stands out to me because you can really see the age.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I guess in a positive kind of way, just to bring it back from the defense, Yossi has been spectacular. And I'll give it to you, Adam.
No, I'd say about the same thing. Lucas Spiza and Zdeno Chara have been god-awful. You could see why Canucks fans complain about Spiza and why Chara's over the hill and down the other side by quite a large margin. And much in the same vein, Yossi's been really outstanding on the opposite spectrum, sorry. As for forwards on the team, Anze Kopitar has been dominant. And then Leon Draisaitl has been a nice little surprise in the last little bit, and hopefully this continues on into the regular season. Other than that, yeah, no, I think he's been pretty darn good, honestly.
Oh, sweet. Next team. Any objections to looking at Team Finland, or you guys feel as though you didn't see enough of Finland?
I watched bits and pieces. I think we lost James temporarily here, but
Yeah.
I've seen bits and pieces. You know, Sebastian Aho looks really good. Laine and Puljujärvi, or Laine has been really good. Other than that, I haven't really watched a lot of them. I don't know about you, but
Okay. I'm going to do a little one-off here. Props to James. Yeah, we lost him. The reason that he has such bad Wi-Fi right now is because he's on vacation in a hotel and he's still doing the podcast, so all power to him. Unfortunately, we've lost him, and hopefully he'll be back soon enough. For me, for Finland, Sebastian Aho has been just wow. I knew he would be fantastic coming into the league, and the crazy thing for me is I feel as though his defensive game is going to be actually stronger than his offensive game. But Sebastian Aho has been better than I expected him to be. On the flip side, I don't know. I can't really like. Finland's sort of a little all over the place. Each player has its really good moments, and each player had their really poor moments. And I can't really pick out a specific one that played really badly at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a weird, like especially with Finland and Sweden. It's been hard to watch them, especially because their games have been at different times. But
Mm-hmm.
it's been an odd thing where they're playing well and they're not playing too badly, but you don't really know a whole lot about them, so you can't gauge them. It's been because we've seen Team Europe a lot. I've been watching North America games, Team USA, and the Czech Republic a little bit here and there, even Team Russia. And it's worth noting, Team Russian defense is going to let them down. That's going to be ultimately the reason, because they have a high-powered offense, but
Really
dear Lord,
hardcore.
help their defense.
I guess on that point, then let's go on to Team Russia.
Sure. Obi's being Obi. Their team, their offense has been their offense, but their defense is terrible. Isn't Markov on their first line?
Yeah, he is.
Probably.
He's awful too.
Oh,
so
he's back.
Yeah,
Who's your player positive? Who's your player negative? As you've seen in the pre-tournament action.
Markov was pretty bad. Honestly, he turned the puck over quite a bit, and trying to think here. No, I didn't get a whole lot of look at their offense because I kind of figured I was watching before flipping over the other game, but I guess Obi, he looks like he's ready to play again. He had an off season where he did a bunch of stuff and he got married, and he looks ready to go.
Yeah, no. If he gets if he is having a child expecting, they're going to see Dad Obi in action. And dad NHL players that are superstars are always amazing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely no bias there. Okay, in terms of my player positive, my player negative, definitely player negative would be probably most of that, the Russian defense. It's just unfortunate, but when you have really nothing to choose from.
Your options are
But,
great.
they're barely putting together games. And on that point, my very, very player positive is going to be Sergei Bobrovsky. He has been spectacular. In that Team Canada game, the only reason that it was as close as it was purely because of Bobrovsky. It's basically his starting job to lose at this point for that team. James, are you still with us?
Yep, no, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, so-
Who's your Team Russia?
Like, for good and bad?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to agree with Arun there for good there. Bobrovsky played pretty spectacularly, I think, in the pre-tournament game against Canada. That's the only thing that I've really seen from Russia so far, so I don't have a whole lot to base it on. Zaitsev, I remember, he's the defenseman that I think the Leafs signed this offseason.
Yeah,
He was pretty... he was pretty bad, honestly, I thought.
Was he? I liked his play
I thought-
offensively.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just what I'm just using the eye test. I didn't look up any advantage. I didn't think he was great, which kind of worries me because I like the Leafs too. So I want him to be good, but I didn't think that he was very good. So
Okay, I didn't mind Zaitsev. I thought he was fairly good offensively, but defensively he had a few hiccups, and it's the usual PK Subban thing, right?
Yeah.
Where offensively you do something good, and because you frequently do it good, players are fans are like, oh, it's just the usual. And when you look at it, that one time where they have that bad turnover, and then suddenly they're the worst defenseman.
yeah, that's how it always goes. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, we'll save Team Canada for last, so we can go to Team. Have you guys watched enough of the Czech Republic games to comment on Czech Republic? Because I
really.
can't.
No.
One thing that I did note, though, is Yager's age is starting to show a little bit more.
I don't think Yager's at the tournament.
Yager's
Is he
not even
not?
on the, no, he's not even at the tournament.
He said he retired from international play, so Arun's best moment.
I don't even know what you're talking about there, Arun.
I think we gotta fire you, bud, for that one.
Yeah, that was bad.
Okay, Team Sweden then.
That was bad.
We already covered Team Sweden. Did we? Well,
Team Sweden,
not really.
Sweden. Bork.
Henrik's
Best
been
player,
good.
worst player.
Henrik's been
Adam.
really good. Henrik,
Nah.
the long. Well, no, it's been bad.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any Sweden. Straight up, I haven't seen Team Sweden play yet.
I haven't seen him play either. I saw a little bit of a pre-tournament game against Finland, and that's the all that I've seen from both of those teams. So I don't know.
I haven't done my homework.
Yeah, haven't seen enough of them, and it's the same thing with Finland. Like I just don't know.
Okay.
Was it? So, well, I was gonna say before we go to Team Canada, do you want to mention maybe McDavid's scoring or lack of thereof? Is it a concern?
We can get to that one for the next topic, and then
Okay.
we can
For
finish.
sure.
All right.
Yeah. So really quickly, Team Sweden. Bad for me has been Lundqvist. It's just decisions that he's making, and they're leading to bad goals. Good player. I like how can't really pick out anything. It's like the Finland thing where there's just a little bit of everything there, and it's hard to pick out something specifically. Okay, moving on to Team Canada.
We're
Team
so-
Canada, best player, worst player.
Are we non-stereotypical hockey fan or Canadian hockey fans in the sense? It's like
Yeah.
we're paying attention to North America, Canada. Who gives a fuck about the
Yes.
Swedes and Finns and everyone?
Okay, who's been good and who's been bad?
Team
for
Canada.
Canada? Okay, Crosby's been phenomenal.
Crosby, Bergeron, and Marchand. Honestly,
Jesus, that first
that
line
line is ridiculous.
is
Yeah.
fire.
Two of the best centermen in the game with one of the most annoying yet complimentary wingers on the planet.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I would fathom right now that Patrice Bergeron is actually the second best centerman in the game.
yeah, you can definitely
Like
make
right now.
that.
yeah.
You're looking at history, definitely Malkin is above him.
Yeah.
And there's other players too, but Patrice Bergeron, to give everyone an idea, Patrice Bergeron on the Bruins makes the Bruins pretty much a NHL playoff level team. Like I'm talking like top 4 playoff level team, and then without him on the ice, they're basically like the Oilers. They're garbage. It's that much of a difference. Sorry, continuing on with your negative player.
It's hard to pick a negative player when they won 6-0 last night. I thought that Taves was quiet. I didn't think he did a whole lot, but he didn't have a bad game per se. I don't think anyone had a bad game, but Taves was quiet, and yeah, I think he did get a goal though. But
Taves did get a goal.
yeah, he did get a goal, but I thought that he had a very quiet game. So
Okay.
bad, but yeah, that's it.
I'm trying to think who's on the roster here. You want to go first, Arun?
Sure. Definitely same for me. It's I'm not gonna go with the trio because I think honestly it could replace that right wing. It's a right wing, right? Marchand?
Marchand is left wing.
Left wing. Oh, it's my bad. Left winger and Marchand can be replaced by pretty much any other player. But right now, Patrice Bergeron and Sidney Crosby are playing to the level of the two best centermen in the league. And just to give everyone an idea, it's almost a pain right now not to see Patrice Bergeron in the center just because he's so good defensively as well as winning draws. But with the way that Crosby playing right now and the way that Patrice Bergeron's playing right now, this tournament's going to be fun to watch for a Team Canada fan. In terms of a negative, there was one player that stood out to me, but I'm going to go to Adam first before I talk about this one so I don't look like an idiot again.
Well, I'm wondering, has Perry even done anything yet?
I thought he was pretty good.
I thought it was fairly good. It's just it's the usual thing where points aren't coming to him.
I think he has he had one assist in pre-tournament, and then he doesn't have anything yet in the tournament. But they play again today, or not today. Sorry, they play a few days. But I don't know. Perry's been quiet, but he hasn't been. I mean, when Getzlaf was dead, he was Corey Perry, but at the same time, he hasn't been blowing me out of the water. Same thing with Taze. Taze has been okay, but Taze has never really been the overpower you kind of forward. He's always been good, but.
Yeah.
His best qualities are definitely his leadership and all that jazz, the intangibles per se. In terms of good, though, Carey Price is also worth mentioning because he's been very solid despite the fact he hasn't played in 7 months.
He had that bad first game, but then after that,
after he's been shutting, he got a shutout the other night, obviously. So I'd say Carey Price on top of the Marchand, Bergeron, Crosby line. Very good.
For me, my negative player would probably be Alex Pietrangelo. I know there's a lot more in him. It's just right now, it says something when Jay Bouwmeester is playing better than him right now, in my opinion. But that's just my assessment of that. Do you guys have anything to add about the Pietrangelo?
No, I think he could play better, but
yeah, I think he did take a pretty dumb penalty last night. Maybe not. It felt like he had. I could swear he had a penalty last night.
I don't know. I wasn't able to catch that game.
No, I don't know. He did get a goal. He got their last goal.
Okay, so moving on then. Not Sidney Crosby. McDavid, the chosen one, the prodigal son, has not put up any points for Team North America. Is this cause for concern, or are you guys like, it's okay?
Yeah, not really concerned.
Okay, James, you wanna?
James, you go first.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Whatever. Yeah. No, I'm not concerned at all. I mean, McDavid instantly draws every single team's top pairing defenseman. I think he's had pretty much a revolving door of wingers. So.
Yeah.
That's.
I don't think it's kind of that same shit where the this is where the copy pasta came in last year. The 3 games in, hadn't scored a goal, hadn't got a point.
It is 3 games in,
and then over the next like 9 games, he put up like 12 points or something like that until he got injured, something like that. But 3 games in, oh no, he doesn't have a point. Yeah, well, you know,
I don't think he's NHL ready, guys.
He hasn't been playing. He's been playing well, and I'd say the second game, the first game he was quiet. The second game he was better. The third game he was fantastic. He probably could have had 2 or 3 goals last time, and could have had a couple more assists. And then tonight he plays with Matthews and Scheifele, and that's going to be a ridiculous pairing. Those two are going to be having fun. I think those two will work well together. Mind you, they're both also puck-carrying players, but it becomes this interesting conflict between a player with all the skills to make stuff happen and him needing somebody to play with that can be in the right place whenever he needs somebody to pass to. And it's kind of so. With Crosby had an issue for a long time where he was able to play with Bill Guerin in his first season, and then they had to find Kunitz for him to play with, and he's been dynamite with Kunitz for his entire career. But it's kind of curious to see whether or not McDavid might have the thing where he's going to have to try to find somebody to play with that plays really well, like we saw with Yakupov, and then it really worked pretty well with him too for the most part. If Eberle improved his one time, he would have had probably 10 more goals. So it's one of those things where maybe McDavid hasn't found his winger yet, and maybe he finds it tonight, or maybe he spends half the tournament trying to find a winger. You know, I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't think it's a huge deal the fact he doesn't score, or if he doesn't score for a couple more games.
Yeah, I would agree. I was a little disappointed that Gaudreau was moved off from that line with McDavid. But when you look at that lineup, perhaps having a little bit more of a grittier player in that line can do benefits for a little bit more puck cycle. And generally, more puck possession can lead to more goals. Of course, there can be statistical anomalies and that kind of thing. But yeah, for me, there's no cause for concern. McDavid not scoring it. The key reason for that is simply put, it's pre-tournament games. It doesn't count yet. If he doesn't score in the pre-tournament games, so be it. We still know that his skill is still there. He is still being a huge cause for concern for other players on the ice. And I think it's a little bit of his wingers also have to get used to him carrying the puck in and handling the puck, because in situations where another NHLer would lose it, he still has it. And these players are not quite used to that yet.
It's worth noting that they play Finland tonight for their first tournament game, by the way.
Yeah, they do. We didn't sort of do a best player, worst player for Team North America. Did you guys want to do that, or just move on?
Yeah, I think best player for
Let's do
me, probably
I
either
know, right?
Johnny Gaudreau or Austin
Goudreau.
Matthews. Honestly, Matthews or
Matthews,
Gaudreau have
yeah.
been both really fantastic.
Mhm.
Worst player, maybe.
Hellebuck?
Hmm?
Hellebuck.
Hellebuck
Connor
wasn't
Hellebuck.
great in his premiere, but he's also not really. He was never really lined up for the first two
Yeah, yeah.
goaltender positions. He's kind of that third one. It's like, oh no, emergency.
Mhm.
Probably one of the defensemen. Maybe
Is that Jones?
Murray's been out of pace occasionally, but I think he's been better. Probably Jones, probably
Jones.
the worst player on defense. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm. I would be inclined to agree. Or Truba as well.
yeah, but he only played one game too, so I don't know.
James? Did we lose James?
Best player on Team North America. Riley's been really good. Matthews has really worked his way up the depth chart. Like I think he started as the fourth line center.
Yep.
And now I think that is Couturier. Vincent Trocheck or whatever.
Yeah, Trocheck, yeah.
He's been pretty underwhelming, but he was a replacement for someone.
Yeah.
I forget who, but he was a replacement for someone. I think he's been underwhelming. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the best player, worst player, and surprise. My best player was probably Matthews. I think it's pretty obvious. Every time he has the puck, he's really dangerous. He does make a positive impact on the ice in his own zone as well. And he doesn't look out of pace at all with basically NHLers that are all playing. My worst player, unfortunately, would go to, and this is more along the lines of what my expectations are to what the actual product on the ice was, and that would be Seth Jones. I don't know. I have more expectations for the way that he plays. I hate truculence, but he's just not hitting enough. He has that big body, that physicality, and he's just not getting in there. In terms of my surprise, I thought Sean Ghost Despair would be just a one-off player, but he's been quite impressive this tournament. He's put up a few goals that have been just pretty to look at, and yeah, I don't know. I really liked him.
I do think one of my favorite moments of the tournament so far had to be when McDavid got taken down and kind of roughed up a little bit by Polak, and Matthews responded by cross-checking Polak in the back into McDavid, but obviously defending McDavid against his future teammate, which I found rather enjoyable. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll see that tonight if they're on the same line.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you think
Cool.
before we move on, because that's something I don't think we've discussed yet? Do you guys think the physicality Team North America's have to deal with is going to throw them off their game?
No.
No, I don't think so. I think maybe for a few individuals, but everyone there has played in the NHL. They're not wimps. They can all play just as physical as anyone else. Look at these players like Aaron Ekblad, Jacob Trouba, players, even the finesse players like Dylan Larkin. I know he's not scared of anybody. So, yeah, I think they'll be all right.
Is it worth noting that they might have trouble dealing with a shutdown team because they kind of got plastered by Europe when Europe started clogging up the middle and not letting them have zone entries? It really slowed down their game.
I can see this being a team that gets frustrated really easily. Just the style doesn't lend itself to sustained periods of playing like that successfully. If they don't get a quick lead, I feel like they could get frustrated and really get off their game and get sloppy or selfish.
One of the things that I liked is the fact that Team Europe played that way, because then it can be a teaching moment for T-Mac. But I also think it is a problem with T-Mac, just because he's a little slower to adapt when adaptations are made to his style of running the offense or the team. But that more along the lines of me being really players
Your internet's
to show a little bit more.
shit in the bed there. Oh, this is great. I think I lost both of them.
No, I'm still here.
Okay, you're still here?
Yeah, still here.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm back. Sorry.
Hey man, my excuse is hotel Wi-Fi.
Yours is
so-
working better than Arun was there.
Oh, Jesus.
My
Hey, I
excuse-
just had a momentary drop, all right? What was I in the middle? What did you guys hear until I got cut off?
I don't really remember, to be honest with you.
Actually totally forgot. Oh, right, physicality. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem just because the players are really like. Who was it that made the comment? I think it was Goudreau, right? About what do you do when you're facing up against like all these big and tough players, and is like they have to hit us first or something
Yeah,
like that.
you can't hit what you can't catch.
Yeah, that was it. That was the comment. And I think that was pretty much spot on. I do think within their, like in terms of sustained puck pressure, it's going to be an issue. But I don't imagine it to be too much of an issue because, you're going to get guys like McDavid taking up all the pressure from the top players, which leaves like a third line of Nugent Hopkins, McKinnon, and Drouin to go in there and be spectacular.
That is a stupid
Adam?
good third line. Like,
That's a stupid good third line, yeah.
That is ridiculous. Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, McKinnon, Drouin is like the key chemistry in that line, but Nugent Hopkins just brings that line together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can slot him in anywhere. He'll do well.
Except with Yakupov for some reason.
Right. Well,
That just doesn't click.
I don't want to think about that yet.
so with I was gonna say with all the teams we've talked about, is America kind of fucked?
Yeah.
Why?
It's only winning one game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they're totally done for because everyone knows that their team is designed to beat Canada.
Mhm.
And they did beat Canada in the pre-tournament, so it can be done. But now they're kind of almost in a situation, like they're pretty much in a situation where they have to beat Canada. So they're not done, but I wouldn't bet on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, pretty much ditto. And the thing too is like though they say that they're like designed to beat Team Canada, I think that game that they won was only because Price was rusty, and that was it. I don't see them. I see them being not qualifying for the semis.
So it's worth noting that if the Team Europe wins tomorrow over Czech Republic, then USA plays for their lives against Team Canada.
Yep.
And that's not really a space you want to be against Team Canada as an elimination game, but might happen.
That's when players are gonna get injured.
I just realized
That's
Team North America plays 2 games in 24 hours.
Ugh.
They play the Finns tonight and the Russians tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful.
So I don't know that So I know there's been complaints about injuries coming to the tournament. I don't think we've had anything too major yet. But you want to injure a player, it's a good way is have him play 2 games in 24 hours.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Holy smokes.
I guess going off of that Americans topic, because I think we're all in agreement here that the American team is not
they're in dire
positively
straits.
trending.
They're in dire straits.
Is there a specific person to blame? Is there more than one person to blame? Who do you think is the problem?
I don't know if there's a specific person to blame. I think that they chose wrong players. I would have brought Kessel. I would have brought Tyler Johnson. There's a few American players that I would have taken. Players
Falk,
like
Justin Falk.
Yeah, like players like Brandon Dubin. The Americans have better players than what they brought.
I don't think you're wrong. I think part of the issue with the American system.
Yeah.
Part of the issue with the American system goes beyond just their coaching. I mean, Tortorella has been a terrible coach. He's not adjusted very well. He's basically just he benched Bufflin yesterday, which doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's just he's not managing a team that was poorly managed to begin with. They chose wrong players. They chose, like you said, they built the team very obviously to beat Team Canada. And that's all fine and dandy as long as you beat every other team in the process, because if you only beat one team, that's not how you win the tournament.
Yeah.
So the North America, the thing is, the players on North America who are American right now are going to be the foundation of the new Team USA, and they're going to be a scary
they're going to be
team.
a strong Team USA.
In 3 to 5 years, they're going to be a very good team.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And I guess that sort of lends to the next bit. This isn't really on our list of topics, but I think it might be a good thing to discuss. Do you think that the World Cup of Hockey is going to be a replacement for the Olympics?
That's what they're trying to honey dick us into doing.
Yeah.
But do you, like, for example, are you currently having the same level of involvement?
God, no.
As the Olympics, or is this? What's your attitude, I guess, to the World Cup of Hockey after having seen a few games?
I'm watching every single game. I do watch every game. I watched last night's game. I watched the pre-tournament games. I say that I don't care, but I do. But at the same time, it is a tournament where I can be like, whatever. We don't care about this tournament anyway if we lose. You know, it's like almost like World Championships. I'll pay attention. I will enjoy it. It'll be awesome if we win. But if we lose, I'll be like, whatever. It's a farce. Nothing but the Olympics matters.
See, I was going to say, ultimately for me, it's the old adage where if the Americans somehow win the tournament, are the Americans now the best country on the planet at hockey? Fuck no, it's not the goddamn Olympics. It's the World Cup. Like,
Yeah.
It's if it's a thing where you can look at it and say this is the best team in the world. It's like, no, not really. I mean, if players are dropping out due to injuries because they want to go on vacation or they want to take time off before the start of the season, it's not a proper tournament to me. It's interesting. And now, like James said, it's worth evaluating because I am interested. I like the U23 team. It's a great concept and it's worked out really well, especially with the prospects they have in the game right now. Team Europe I didn't really like, but it's proving that they do actually have quite a bit of skill and they might do better than people think. Now, Bettman, I guess, came out and said yesterday that the World Cup's going to go back to an 8-team format. So we'll see where it goes with that. But it's interesting, but it's also one of the things where if it's on TV and I'm like, I don't really care about if it's Finland versus Sweden, it's like I don't really care about the matchup that much. Or if it's Russia versus Czech Republic, if it's on, I'll watch it and it's kind of interesting. But in the Olympics, I'll actually sit down and watch. And that the other part of it is the players are in mid-season form in the Olympics. They're not going in cold. I don't know.
No, that's true.
It can't replace it. Just in the same way that it won't replace it for the players, it won't replace it for me.
Yeah, pretty much same vein. Like, I'm invested in the sense that there's hockey on. I've gone an entire off season without watching any hockey, and there's hockey on. So you know what? I'm gonna watch hockey because that's a passion in my life. I love watching hockey, but that doesn't mean that for the Olympics, it's no substitution for the Olympics for me. Because there's a game at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm gonna stay up to watch that game at 3 a.m. in the morning and go to school the next day without having any sleep. And to me, that's just it's a huge level of investment. So in that sense, it's for in the whole argument of are you invested in this tournament or not? I am, but not nearly as much as I was for the Olympics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of the Olympics is the atmosphere too. It's not just because the hockey's
once every 4 years.
Yeah, and it's more of an occasion. And I guess they were saying that this might be every 4 years as well, but who really knows? So it's the kind of thing where it's every 4 years and it's woven up in a major world event where CBC's covering everything, and then they have interviews with the players and they're involved in more than just this little hockey tournament that happens to have a little trophy that looks like someone stuck pieces of metal or glass tubing together and decided it was good enough. I don't know. It's a gold medal. I can see why a gold medal is more coveted than.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
This.
Yeah.
Yes, I would 100% agree on that. I think the other reason too is that while like the under U23 team for North America and the Team Europe are conceptually nice, it also undermines the almost the authority of the tournament in terms of being a legitimized tournament.
It feels
moving
more
on, I guess. Yes. Moving on the same topic, Ovi has come out and saying that he'd go to the Olympics even if players were not permitted to go. Thoughts? I'll start with James on this one.
Whether or not I agree with what he said is kind of irrelevant. I like that he has taken such a hardline stance about it, because NHL players always seem to be quite wishy-washy about this topic, and they never give you a straight answer. And Ovi's always been very straightforward about it. And he's the sort of player where management and ownership are like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Like, I guess they'll just suspend him for 2 weeks, and he won't get a paycheck, I guess, but that's worth it to him, and fair play. So, yeah, I like it, and I hope that others do it as well.
I don't think he was the only Russian player to say that too, was he? 2 years ago.
I don't think he was either, because the Russians are always a lot more outspoken about that sort of thing.
Okay, Adam?
Yeah, no, I'd say the same thing. It's a very stark departure from what we're used to from NHL players, and it's rather nice. I mean, I'm sure if more Canadian players wouldn't get lambasted in the media, they'd probably say a similar thing, where it's like, I'd much rather play for my country at the Olympics than I would at the World Cup. And I don't
Jamie
think
Ben would say that.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. It's just that they won't be said it because their media training tells them otherwise, and B, common sense tells them otherwise, because they'll become a spokesperson for the Olympics, and well, if that doesn't happen,
it's not the company line.
It's crossing the picket line. It's just nobody won't say it, but I do like it, and I hope that more players follow suit.
Let's imagine that. Let's put a hypothetical situation forward. Let's say that the Olympics do get canceled. Outside of, obviously, Ovi has said that he'll go regardless, but do you see any other players or teams that are going to go to this tournament?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Like other countrymen going to represent their country and like taking that 2 week suspension in order to play the Olympics? Do you see outside of Ovi other players possibly doing that?
Yeah, I can see some other players doing it. I don't think that a lot of people have the same ability to do it as Ovi. Like, I think you have to be a superstar in order to take that sort of attitude, because Ovi has the ability to say, fuck you, this is what I'm doing, deal with it. Not everyone has that pull.
I think it really depends on the management of the team. So, for example, Nicholas Backstrom could also go because he plays for the Caps, and the Caps owners has already stated, I love Ovi, you do whatever he wants. And Backstrom would say, well, I'm with Ovi, so I'm just going to go fly home and play. But, for example, Kucherov, even if he's Russian, may not get the same go-ahead from Steve Yzerman and the Bolts management.
I can't imagine Yzerman not.
What would your guys' thoughts be if McDavid said he's going? Likely won't, just because his nature is.
Yeah, he wouldn't, but I think I'd be okay with it, to be honest. I know it's one of those things where, you gotta put the Oilers first, but unless we're in the very hunt for a playoff spot, in which case I don't think he'd go anyway, but I don't have an issue with him going for 2 weeks, because part of that is part of the Christmas break anyway, is it not? Or are they taking a bit of a break around that time anyway for the Olympics? That's because they go right now.
It's just they can. I think they move it. It's not the Christmas break. It's not during that time.
Yeah,
it's
no,
afterwards.
sorry.
It's February.
It's that. It's the play. They take a break because the players go. But if they didn't go, I guess it would also depend on how many Canadian players are going. Because if it's only McDavid going and then a bunch of junior players or college players, it's like, no, I'd really rather he stayed, because it's kind of pointless. They're not going to win. But
I guess on that point then, James, did you want to add to that or
no? We can move on.
Okay. On that point, then, sorry, this is definitely relevant. It just brings a conclusion to all of this. We were all in agreement. We sort of want to see NHLers there, and we're sort of bummed if NHLers are not allowed to go. Um, the issue comes into who pays for the insurance, who pays for the travel, all that kind of stuff. And do you imagine that the NHL is willing to let it go if the IOC and pay if the IOC doesn't?
No.
No, no.
Like,
Short answer.
I think from a marketing perspective, they could gain a whole hell of a lot from that area, especially because the KHL is now established in China. I think it's worth it for the NHL to go, but they also see it as, okay, well, that's also 2 weeks of the season where we're not selling tickets to our own games, we're not making money off our own players, and the IOC isn't going to pay for it, so we're actually losing money on this venture. There's no point for them.
Okay, yeah. Especially when, like, it's what was it? The intent of the Olympics is to advertise within the country, and the last two Olympics was primarily a market that is mostly into hockey, winning the whole thing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I could. I don't know. I can definitely see benefits on the NHL trying to go for an investment, but it's such a risky investment. Okay, we're in agreement for that as well. I'm assuming. James, do you have anything to add?
No, move on. Next.
Okay. Horcoff has retired and joins the Detroit Red Wings in a player development role. In addition, Ference has unofficially retired, as in he understands that he probably will never play again, but he has yet to actually retire. How do you view this, basically, through the eyes of an Oilers fan?
Well,
James.
Horcoff was hated. Like he got some pretty strong reactions. He wasn't hated, but pretty strong, varied reactions from people about him for a long time. I think that people. It's hard to blame someone for taking the contract that he did. He was overpaid by, his cap hit was $5.5 million there for a while, so he was overpaid by like $3 million for what he really bought. But that's not his fault. That's on Kevin Lowe, and so it sucks that people just remember his contract and how he didn't live up to it. But he was a solid Oiler for a long time, and he probably never wants to come back to Edmonton again from how we treated him.
It was definitely one of those contracts where it's like, here, you're going to be a leadership role, we're rewarding you because of it, but it's also a contract you're never going to live up to, so good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. I don't know, like Horcoff was that player that he was like I'd already mentioned on the sub, I said he was a loyal soldier, and I still think that he was very much a player where you tell him to do something, and he'd go out and do it the best he possibly could, and it wouldn't be all that good for an NHL level, but he'd still do it. And he was playing top line minutes when he really shouldn't have been, and that's partially attributed to the fact that we had an incredibly weak team, partially due to the fact that he had a massive contract to try to live up to, part of the fact he was a captain, and part of it was just our terrible depth. And I think he was treated unfairly, but in the sense that he probably understood what he was going to get when he got that contract, and that C in that town with that team. It's unfortunate the way it ended, but I think he'll be remembered here more positively than negatively. Hopefully more so for the Stanley Cup goal, the goal in the finals against, was it in the finals or was it I think it was conference finals against the Ducks, when Smith lost some teeth, came back out and hit Horcoff on the triple OT winner. Rather than,
I thought that was against the Sharks, but
it might have been against Sharks.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember the goal you're talking about.
So it was, it's Horcoff winning in triple overtime and being a good soldier than being a terrible captain. Not terrible captain, being an overpaid player on top line where he shouldn't have been.
Out of his depth, big time.
Yes, essentially that's it. So.
With the Ference, can I go for the Ference thing or?
Sure, go.
Yep.
Yeah. With the Ference thing, it's a little bit terrible because like it seemed like the day that he signed with Edmonton, he just went.
Mm-hmm.
His play just dropped off a cliff. I don't know. Like Boston just got rid of as his usefulness expired. It seems like he was never. And it sucks that he has to kind of go out this way, but he'll remain active in the community, I would imagine, and maybe take on some sort of like strength, or because he's still super active. He just can't skate. I think what's his problem exactly? Is it his hips?
Hip.
Yeah.
Well, he has everything, but his hip is his main problem right now.
Yeah. So I don't know. It sucks to see him go, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm glad that he's not making a big deal out of it. So
I think the best thing Ference has done since becoming captain has been his gracious exit. That's not to say all the work he does in the community is overshadowed, but he's making 3.25 or something like that, right?
3.25, yeah.
So rather than saying, well, I'm being paid all this money while I'm not playing kind of thing, he just sat in the press box all last year. And then he went to LTIR after he had the surgery, and then we couldn't buy him out earlier, and he's come out and said, I know I'm pretty much done. I'm not good enough to play anymore. My hip hurts. Everything hurts. I think Connor should be captain. And it's one of those things where not only did he accept being stripped of the captaincy, but he's just he's been a really gracious player. And very much a player that you'd want the guys to look up to in terms of being a leader, a role player in the community, a generally nice guy, and then, but maybe not aspire to be positionally. But it does seem like he signed the contract and went downhill immediately. And maybe the biggest flaw of his whole contract was easily, well, not is, but it definitely is the no trade clause.
Yeah.
No movement clause.
Yeah. So the NMC, that's definitely the biggest issue. At the same time, we have cap space. We're not right up against the cap, so it's not. I don't know. I think Ference goes out on better terms than he could have, and I wish for his sake he had played a bit better and he got to play a bit more in the last little bit. But for the sake of the Oilers, I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, no,
don't
for
mean to
sure.
be mean, but
The gracious exit is something that is
greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse.
If there were a few players, if I had a choice of meeting a few Oilers players, I'd honestly, Ference would be up there with me just because he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah. It's just pretty much what I like almost about this situation is how these players just basically parallel one another in terms of their impact on the Oilers. They just got offered what was essentially a bad contract. Andrew Ference, there's no way he's going to turn down. Was it a 4-year, $4 million?
4 times 3.25, I think it was.
With an NMC.
With the no movement clause. There's no way that he's going to turn that down. I mean, he's looking for his future. He's looking for a retirement contract.
Exactly. That was when he signed that contract. He was still he was 33, 34 at the time of signing that.
He was already starting to decline.
He must have seen that and that he's that's my last contract. I'm taking that. No takebacks. He's he would have been dumb not to take it.
Hometown team, place that he's lived before, so he's okay with it. He can raise his family here. He has family here already. Given the captaincy right away, good contract, is not going anywhere for those 3 years. Yeah, that'd be a contract I'd take too in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Why not? He just won a cup, right? So he's already hit the pinnacle. He knows he probably won't get there again.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So.
At least I would say with the Horcoff one, it was starting to, at the time it made a little bit of sense, but still it was way too much money. The Horcoff one was out of that year where he had a spectacular season putting up points. I think he ended up getting injured in the All-Star game. With a shoulder injury, and then he missed the rest of the season. And that was also the year that Dustin Penner was playing amazingly too. You guys remember that?
Yeah. But he was point per game for about half a season, and then they signed the contract.
I was in Colorado, so I had zero coverage for hockey.
No, he got injured at the All-Star game, and he was out until I think the last 10 games of the season or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the chemistry that he had with Dustin Penner was gone. and that's
Good
how
old
that like
flapjacks.
it played out. It just sucked, and then at that point, like his injury started to become more of a problem, and like the theme of like wrong place at the wrong time. Like you made all the right decisions for yourself, but it also put you in a situation where you don't feel like the greatest person.
Yeah, exactly.
And I honestly like all power to them for the decisions that they have made. If like when Ference recognizes that he won't play again, you know what? I still see like a powerful person within the community who goes out, who puts in a lot of time within the Edmonton community, led a lot of initiatives while he was still playing with the team, and with Horcoff too. It was just he didn't do as much as Ference did, but in terms of his on ice stuff, whatever the coach asked, he did. And
Yeah.
I think all of the Oilers fans at least respected that aspect of each of those
I
players.
think part of what made Ference.
Do you want to just go on to the next topic, or
Well, I was going to say,
and then finish?
the one thing I remember about Ference is the Spider Mabel thing.
Yeah.
From last year.
Spider Mabel, yeah.
So,
Where if you for those of you that don't remember, for Make a Wish, was it Make a Wish Foundation?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a girl that wanted to become basically Spider Mabel. Her name was Mabel, so she wanted to become like a Spider-Man kind of thing, be a superhero, I think it was. And part of the story was that Andrew Ference had been kidnapped, and they had to go to the city hall. She had to go to city hall and collect all these clues, and then save Andrew Ference and all that kind of stuff. And he played along with that without a single problem. And really, like at that point, like everyone respected him.
Worth noting, McDavid
okay.
also showed up at the end too, which is nice.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Nice, yeah. Pentiction Youngstars tournament. We sent it 2-0. Any reactions? Any reactions so far?
It's nice that we won. I mean, the game against Calgary, we scratched like Puliarvi, Tyler Benson, Nick Ellis, Drake Kegulaya. I still don't know how to say his name.
Kajula.
Thank you.
As Principe was saying the other day.
I don't know, man. We scratched like pretty much every name of note, and we still beat Calgary. So that was pretty sick. But I mean, ultimately, this tournament means nothing. I have been to Penticton before while this tournament is going on. That year, we had like our blue line had like Davidson, Clefbaum, Nurse, Marinson,
Simpson.
Gurnat, David Musil, I think, was there that year. We had, like, the blue line was just stacked, and I remember one game we got absolutely torched. Like, we could not stop letting in goals. So, the game is pretty nice to win, but ultimately the tournament means nothing, and it's just sort of almost like a fun thing.
Yep. I look at it from the perspective of the management, and I'm preferring to see how the players play through the course of the tournament, like if they improve or they get worse, and how they are in terms of playing in a more intense environment. But again, like James said, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting that guys like it's kind of fun to see the good performances that come out of it. Like last year, Braden Christopher came out of nowhere and then earned a contract, and he's played pretty well so far in the one game he played. He was also scratched for the last one. Nick Ellis, I think his name is, or is Patrick Ellis? I think it's
The
Nick
goalie?
Yeah.
Nick Ellis, yeah.
Nick Ellis. Came out of nowhere and played very well. I thought in the first game was very sound positionally. He gave up no rebounds. Puliarvi, I don't know how we're going to see him improve much because considering he was amazing in the first game. But yeah, no, like you guys said, it's completely pointless tournament, but it's kind of nice to see where the prospects come from and how they play. A little weird not to see like Nurse or anyone there this year, but I thought Bear was very underwhelming in the first game too. Jones was quite good. Bear was underwhelming.
Well, Bear was also scratched.
There were a few comments within the Reddit thread, and unfortunately I didn't have a chance to catch that first game, where Puliarvi, while he put up 2 goals, looked a step out of place. Is there any cause for concern?
I don't think so much a cause for concern. It's the first game he's played in 5 months. His first game in North America, his first game with those players, with their coach, different language. Are there any other Finnish players at the camp? Like,
I think they may have a translator, but I don't know.
Like, it's one of those things where the fact that he put up 3 points in the first game and didn't play like absolute ass is just like it's an indicative of how talented he is.
Yeah.
So
no, he'll be all right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine. Again, 5 months for us, and that's pretty much it. Honestly, in my opinion. Anyway, that sort of brings us to the end of our little podcast here. It is striking time of 1 hour and 5 minutes. Thank you very much for those of you that have stuck around for as long as you have.
I will say,
I'll let Adam close. I guess
we have a treat next comments. Week. We have a couple guys coming from. We have Ed and Clarky from Have Another Donut podcast from the Devil subreddit, and they're going to come on and talk to us a little bit about Larson and how a lot of perceptions of him may be wrong, what to expect from him, and what to kind of expect from this upcoming season, maybe from the Devils and from the East, which we don't necessarily know a lot about. It might be worth turning into that. We're going to be that'll be the 2nd of October, so we're every second week on this Sunday now from now on, and then we'll have a short video coming out either today or tomorrow, which is a little dated now, but talked about our quick views on the World Cup of Hockey as of last week. Other than that, people seem to like the name so far in the Reddit thread, so that's good. I think we're fans of it too. See us on SoundCloud. This thing will be uploaded to SoundCloud as soon as it's done processing and I can download the video. It's going up right away.
Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and leave comments on the YouTube video and talk to us in the thread and tell us what you like and do not like, and we'll try to stop sucking.
Yeah, that's a little easy.
So I guess that brings us to the end. My name is Aruna5, otherwise known as Arun. Adam.
I'm Adam, otherwise known as Sweet44722.
And I'm James Paul -McCartney-.
And we will see you guys in a couple weeks.